And I think that that would take some of the stress and strain, off of a lot of the traffic that's on the highways. So I would like to see that done in my administration. Improving the quality of life and housing for people that live in public housing. I only moved to Montgomery, although I've lived in and around Montgomery my entire life. I recently moved back to Montgomery almost 2 years ago. And the apartment complex that I live in is a HUD house. It's owned by Housing and Urban Development and Montgomery Housing Authority, so on and so forth. But I like to see them have apartments. Those apartments were originally built in the 1940s, and they're very small kitchens. It didn't really bother me at first when I first saw that apartment, but then once I moved in, they made me take my deep freezer out of my living room, and because they said the electrical wiring in those buildings were not accommodated. So I would like to see people that are living in public housing have good quality housing that will accommodate a deep freezer, that will accommodate a dryer, that will accommodate modern amenities. And that's what I feel about that issue. I've mentioned that I feel that I would like to see marijuana legalized in the city of Montgomery. A lot of people are not as opposed to marijuana as they, based on what I've observed and what I see. And I think that would take some of the stress and strain off law enforcement.
Thank you, John. What do you see as the top 3 priorities for moving Montgomery forward, and how would you implement them?
Oh, I think without a doubt their first one is public education. I think that our public education system is so warped. We have a system that has LAMP on one side that gets national recognition, and the rest of them fall to someplace down further, such that they're not even recognized. In fact, in many instances, they're called failing schools. I think part of what we have to do is to take our templates of excellence, like the one at LAMP for high schools, and we should basically implement it in every high school. Not that we're trying to make every high school a LAMP, but we're trying to give every student an opportunity to have access to excellence, and I think that's what we ought to have. I think the template for excellence for the middle school is right there at our International Baccalaureate program at Macmillan. I think it ought to be everywhere in our school system. Education certainly is one of those things that we've got to pay attention to. We have got to bring together business and citizens in our whole 2-year, 4-year college system, develop an economic development plan for our city which utilizes the students that we are educating and producing. I think certainly that health and safety and taking care of the infrastructure of this city is so utterly important. I'm telling you, I too live on the west side of Montgomery, and the thing that has insulted me more than anything in my recent years is that over-the-ground sanitation system that made me sick when I realized what it was, in fact. And then when I found out that there were people putting it in place who were not even business people in Montgomery, I got even sicker than that. I think we ought to make sure that when we do things, that our contractors, et cetera, of our city are able to deal. Thank you.
Ms. B.
Well, I would like to sort of piggyback off of what Mr. DeVoe said, because I can witness to everything that I say tonight. We had a young woman in our home, our women's home. Over the holiday, she finally got a job, okay? Over the holiday, I had to take her way out to Hampton because the buses don't run on holidays and Sunday. So to move forward, we do need some type of transportation. So I really want to look at DOT when I get into office. Number 2, our school systems are failing, and our children are our future. We must put emphasis on our schools here. And number 3, I just want us to live together. If you stop by our table, you will see I can show you better than I can talk about one Montgomery. You look at that brochure, there's everybody on that Latino, us, you all are on that brochure. We got to go forward as one Montgomery. Getting jobs, it's not just for our magnet and our lampposts. We got to be educated. You have Hyundai in here, and the workers can't work there because of the drug tests, or they don't fit the bill education-wise. So that's what I want to look at, and that's what I want to improve on. Thank you. I'll pass on.
Folks, 2 minutes ain't enough time to talk 3 things, so fair warning, I'm talking one thing, it's called education. Folks, I want to give you some numbers. I don't want to bore you with numbers, I want to give you some you need to know. I'll be blunt with you. 98% of African American seniors in this system are not college ready. That is an indictment on what we're doing now, and we must have a mayor with the dedication and determination to challenge that problem. Folks, our educational statistics are so bad. The most failing schools in the whole state of Alabama, over 60% of seniors who go to college at Jeff Davis, Leland, and Carver require remedial courses. I just mentioned the stats on African Americans. Our educational stats are so bad, we might do well to put up a big billboard on I-85 and I-65 that says, Fortune 500 America, keep on moving, nothing to see here. I'm going to challenge that problem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to challenge the mindset of the school system, because this needs to be said tonight. Several years ago, 4 individuals in our school system got in trouble for the act of fraud, which is a criminal act, falsifying grades. Same thing happened in Atlanta. People went to jail. The same thing happened here. 2 of them got a promotion. One of the whistleblowers got fired. Folks, I want to change the results, and I want to change the mindset. Because if we cannot produce schools that enable our children to win, it's been 15 years since we won a major industrial competition, and that was Sunday. It'll be another 15. Our children, our education are the pathway to our competing and our winning again. I will be the kind of mayor who treats education like the priority it is.
I'm going to agree that high on the priority list is education and also crime. And again, you can hear certain of us up here, they'll tell you what's wrong. We all know what's wrong. What are you going to do about it? I'm not going to sit here and make you any promises that I know I cannot keep. Education in Montgomery County is ran by the Board of Education. The county actually gives the Board of Education more money than the city and should have more influence on it. But that's the only thing we can do, is try to influence them and try to help them with policy. It's up to you as voters to vote in the people on that Board of Education that you feel is going to create the kind of system that you want to have. And here's what the mayor can do, and this is what I see as a problem. I really think that the kids in Montgomery Public Schools, expectations have been placed so low on these kids. I've heard it said that because you have kids who are receiving free lunch, then they can't learn as fast or can't learn on the same level. And I think we push that expectation level too low. What I propose to do, first of all, I propose to expand the LAMP program. We have as many as 2,000 students who are qualified to be in LAMP are not in LAMP because the program is not large enough. And what I would do, I would propose to expand that. Then I would propose to set all of the stakeholders down. This would include those parents who are working 3 and 4 jobs to pay private school tuition to send their kids to private schools. Those parents who are commuting 50, 100-mile round trips to live in one city, work in another so their kids can attend public schools in Auburn. What I would do would have an honest conversation with these individuals, with these people, to find out what is it. Let's identify the problems. What is it going to take to restore your trust and confidence in public education so that you can send your kids back to public education? And we can identify if it's safety, then we can set a plan and fund that plan and get it done. If it's teacher competency, my time is up. But that's where I'm coming from, with solutions, not reminding you what the problem is.
Well, I'm going to agree with education, education, education.
education, because so goes education, so goes Montgomery. But Dan's right. It's vested in 7 members and a superintendent. We've got to work with them. The county and the city have given them millions of dollars. There are ways to deal with this. We need to expand Magnet. We need to expand Magnet, take care of that 1,300 to 1,400 that like to be there and don't have to rely on a lot of them. We need to make sure our technical education gets better. We've never lost an economic development project because of education. We have moved the unemployment rate from 12.5% down to 5.5% to 6%. Thousands and thousands and thousands more people are working today than they did 5 years ago. We need to do full service community schools, which unfortunately in some of the communities, the parents are not responsible. So unfortunately, we got to make sure the school is responsible. Full service. We got $450,000 because I went up and asked Dick Brubaker in the legislature to give us a pilot program. I hired Ernie Finley's wife, who was very knowledgeable in education. She's done a white paper. We've gotten the money. We've gotten the 7-0 vote. And yes, we've got to do some conversions in charter schools to get those better so that we can, in fact, educate our kids. If you're going to go to a city school system, you got to raise the tax by $30 million. What tax do you want to raise to do that? We got to work within the system.
What do you propose to do to attract better paying jobs and industry to Montgomery?
I love the fact that you asked me that question. I consider that we have an untold resource here, and that is a collaborative effort, a true collaborative effort between our 4-year colleges, our technical colleges, because at the state board, we have a trajectory from kindergarten through 2-year college systems to produce the kind of folk that we need. But we have not had that collaborative effort to develop for us the plan for economic expansion for the city of Montgomery. It really makes no sense to have all of these experts sitting right here in Montgomery, and we don't have such a plan that has been developed by those people, or at least the emphasis for such an effort to be led by those individuals, bringing our citizens into the loop as well. We have got to have all of our citizens helping us to look at economic development, to look at the kinds of companies that will do well here, that will be a perfect match for Montgomery, and asking our 4-year colleges to help us to develop those kinds of folk to make sure that economic development is on target right here for our citizens.
Ms. B?
I'd like to first say we always reach out to the major developers to redo downtown and other areas in our city, but yet we have contractors right here that live here that need those same finances. And I've been reaching out to them and talking about redeveloping some of the hardcore areas, and they need the finances. They're trained, but we go outside of Montgomery and even outside of Alabama, and those people make that money and they take it back, you know, where they're coming from. I want to make sure that our people in this city that have skills and professions work here. That's my, and I'm finished.
Thank you. Arturo?
Folks, let me make sure y'all know something. Of the 2,400 to 2,500 people who work at Hyundai and make all that good money, only 64% of them live in the city of Montgomery. Let me give you something else you need to know. I quote another very reputable authority. This one's not Todd Strange, but it's the head of Hyundai North America, their CEO for North America. Hyundai, as a lot of you know, was thinking very seriously about building another Hyundai plant. The city of Montgomery and some certain political forces tried very hard to get them to come here. They want to make a big announcement around the 50th anniversary stuff. Well, the Hyundai CEO, I guess, doesn't belong to the right country club and didn't get the memo, because here's what he said. He said, Montgomery, Alabama does not provide the workforce to sustain another Hyundai plant. Folks, that's not candidates for mayor talking, that's people who know their business. Let's talk job numbers for a moment. Last year, the last year for which we have full data, 300 new jobs in Montgomery. Sounds good, doesn't it? 5,000 though in Birmingham, 1,600 in Auburn, 1,100 in Florence, great metropolis there, 3,200 in Huntsville, 3,800 in Tuscaloosa, 1,600 in Columbus, Georgia, 1,200 in Jackson, Mississippi. Folks, what do all those cities but Birmingham have in common? They're all smaller than we are. I've heard it said that old Montgomery had a recession and we're struggling because we have a recession. Maybe it's just me, maybe I was confused, but I think that recession hit everybody. I think it hit all the cities who are kicking our butts in job creation. Folks, first thing you gotta do to tackle the problem, understand we got one, and then go after the kind of high-tech jobs other places are getting.
Again, we're talking and we're identifying problems that we already know we have. What I would propose to do, and Montgomery have a bunch of talented people, but what happens with these talented people is as soon as they gain that talent, they leave. We suffer from a brain drain, and a part of the reason is because, and my daughter is an example of that. I'm an example of that. 35 years ago, when I graduated college, I had to leave here to have the kind of career that I told you about, sitting there that way. Just 2 years ago, my daughter graduated with a degree in chemistry, and she had to leave here. She's now working for a biomedical company in Birmingham. What we need to do is to refocus our emphasis and recruit high-tech, medical tech, biomedical type companies. We need to recruit corporate headquarters. We need to talk to our senators and our U.S. representatives and talk to them about locating governmental regional offices here in Montgomery. The type of entities that are going to create the opportunities that are going to keep our youngest and our brightest right here in Montgomery. Right now, we have, at Gunter Air Force Base, all the cyber wars are really being fought out there. We are not utilizing that infrastructure that's already in place. And we have individuals here in Montgomery, young entrepreneurs, willing to start businesses along those lines. We have not exploited that particular resource in this community. When I'm elected mayor, I'm going to make sure that the emphasis are toward recruiting the type of jobs and the type of companies that are going to create the type of opportunities that keep our youngest and our brightest here in Montgomery. Now, having said that, there is a problem. I can tell you firsthand that there is a problem finding a qualified workforce for the employers that we've already recruited. I think, though, that right now, in the tube, if we can get MTech started, we're going to start a pipeline where we'll have individuals who are trained and ready for those type jobs. But what I'm talking about here is really professional type jobs. The type of job that I had when I graduated college, the type of job that my kids, and your grandkids are going to be looking for when they graduate. Thank you.
Well, let's talk Hyundai. I happen to know a little bit about that. 3,600 workers out there. The gentleman that spoke about that has nothing to do with Hyundai manufacturing, he's in sales. He was quoted out of context. He wrote us an apology letter. We heard from Korea. The decision has not been made. So we are working that issue right now. But 2 years ago, when they went to the third shift for 900 jobs, they had 25,000 applications. They got filled in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They didn't miss a beat. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we rolled off the 3 millionth car, 2.5 years before anybody else has ever done that. World-class cars, great ISO ratings for the factory, wonderful initial quality built by those people that are at the Hyundai plant that are working in Montgomery, Alabama, and yes, some of them have to live in private. Montgomery has got to devote ourselves to technology. The Cyber Center of the Air Force, we worked for 2 years to get that. It's already announced. It starts in September. Every cyber warrior in the entire Air Force will come to Montgomery, Alabama, from either six months to 10 months. That changed the paradigm. We're mapping every fiber that we have. I asked the question the other day, what does it take to be a gig city? Huntsville's a gig city. You know what they said? Marketing. We haven't marketed that. We will know in a couple of 3 weeks all the fiber under our ground, working with Gunter, working with Maxwell, working with Dr. Bronner downtown. We can be a cyber city tomorrow, and we'll market the heck out of it, and we'll get the HPs, and we'll get the Microsofts, because what we do is all about technology at Gunter.
I just feel that when it comes to improving the education system in the city of Montgomery so that people will be able or have the education that they need to get a good job in the city of Montgomery, it's my, I've never really agreed with the magnet school system because I feel that if the best education a child can get in a Montgomery public school is a magnet school education, and those standards should be set across the board for all the students, and then everyone required to meet them. And so I would like to see Montgomery do that. Set those standards, the magnet school standards across the board for all students. Get rid of that magnet school application process, and then require everybody to meet those standards. As far as jobs are concerned, I feel that we should do everything that we can to bring the best companies that we can here to Montgomery to work. But as I understand it, a lot of companies are not going to locate where there's not a good education system. So it's very important that we have the best education system that we can have. And under my administration, I'll do everything I could to support Superintendent Allen and the Montgomery County Board of Education to make sure that we have the best education system that we can have. In Huntsville, they have gone to electronic books, and they don't do traditional school books at any of their schools, K through 12. And I think that the city of Montgomery County should do that too. I know that's an expensive proposition. Montgomery County Schools has more students in it than the city of Prattville has citizens. They have over 30,000 students in the school system here, K through 12. The city of Prattville has 29,000 citizens. But I do think that we should move towards doing the e-books and the electronic books. And all of that will help as far as preparing our young people for the things that they're going to have to deal with in the future when it comes to technology.
Many streets in Montgomery are approaching dire need of repair. Our city parks are in need of better maintenance and upkeep. In some neighborhoods, trash pickup is a problem and needs improvement. How do you propose to fund and improve these and other city services for the future?
We've got to get back to the budget. I looked at the 2014 budget for Montgomery, and there are various departments that are not fully funded. They're running behind. They're in the negative. So we've got to look at these things because the trucks are there. And I don't know if they just decide not to pick up in certain areas, but we've got to get there and look at that. Now, I want to remind you that I'm not a politician, but I had the heart of a mother and a grandmother, and I look to those we live together. We're in a homogenic society, and if I have a job to fix the streets, we need to fix the streets. We're tearing up our cars because of the potholes, and I believe that we're spending money in other areas where we should be putting those funds. Fixing our streets, getting the infrastructure of our city. If you come through now, you've got these bumps in there. You've got to go over the bumps because there's something wrong with the sewers and things like that. So I would really have to get there and closely examine what's going on to make a very positive answer to your questions.
Folks, guess what city has the 5th oldest infrastructure in the United States of America? Montgomery. Now here's where we get to talk about the debt, and we haven't talked about it yet. Here's what we get to talk about it. You know how most cities with an aging infrastructure, to be candid with you, deal with the problem? Candidly, it's not by spending, it's by taking out bonds. But guess what happens when your city raises its bonded indebtedness by $90 million in just 5 years, and guess what happens when your credit rating is lowered twice in 4 years? It's hard to go out and borrow new money and finance new projects. Folks, when you hear Harrison, myself, and some other folks on this panel talking about debt, and you're thinking, well, why are these guys talking about debt? I mean, Washington's worse than Montgomery. Folks, the reason we talk about debt is this. All the extra debt that's gone out and gotten accumulated in the last 5 or 6 years prevents us from dealing with the infrastructure problem. I will be candid with you. Spending by itself cannot begin to deal with having the 5th oldest infrastructure in America. That will require a significant bond commitment, but our ability to do it has been diminished because we've made unwise decisions up until now. Folks, if someone were running a company and that company's finances had dropped to the point where their credit rating collapsed 2 of the last 4 years, I have a hunch that person would be sending his resume on to some of the jobs. Should the city have the same standard?
Let me preface my comments with, first of all, saying that I am fully supportive of all of the development that has gone on downtown. I am excited at the idea that Montgomery has become a tourist destination. And it's important because it feeds the economy. But even more important than that is that we remain a great place to live, Montgomery. And in order to do that, you have to be committed to investing in our communities. I don't think we need to raise any more money to do that investing, to make sure that the garbage is picked up on time, to make sure that certain areas of Montgomery don't flood every time it rains for more than an hour, to make sure that every house that's inside of the city limits is connected to city water and sewer. I don't think that we need to raise taxes or raise any money. It's a matter of priorities, and that's what these forums are about. Tonight you're expressing to me what your priorities are, and whenever I sit down as mayor to set priorities, believe me, I'm going to want to know from you what is it that's important to you. And if you have your priorities straight, then these things that you're complaining about, potholes in the streets and late garbage pickups, and those types of things, they can be addressed and can be accomplished. And that thing, watch the news tonight. I did a special press conference this morning, and I went, and these are all facts signed off by the mayor himself on the study, on the audit that was done for fiscal 2014. In the year 2018, the service on the debt in Montgomery will go from $27 million a year to $41 million a year. Nobody can afford a 20-something. That's just like a light bill going up by 200% in 1 year. Thank you.
Well, we've heard a lot of fiction. Our credit rating is AA. I told you that we lost $28 million in 2 years from the revenue stream. We did go to the bond market. We went from about $1,000 a head to about $1,400 a head, which is the lowest in the state of Alabama, of Huntsville, Birmingham, and Mobile. We spent $75 million putting in infrastructure, putting in the Crampton Bowl, putting in the multiplex, putting in ball fields, putting in various things that are producing revenues so that $1.4 million every night in Montgomery, Alabama is spent by tourism coming here. We paid back $11 million of our bond indebtedness last year. Dan Harris is telling you that we borrowed $25 million to have a credit line. We have a commitment from a bank, actually 3 banks, for $25 million. We haven't used it. We don't need it because our finances are extremely good. I have no clue where this fifth oldest infrastructure is. Part of that $100 million was $15 million to pave streets. We've paved 130 miles. We got another 150 to go. It'll take us another 3 years because it's 100,000 a mile. Your neighborhood, your connector streets, I ride them all the time. I know we've got to do a better job, but nobody touched them for 10 years until 2013 when the city council and the mayor got together and came up with $7 million plus $12 million to be able to start paving our streets and renovating some of these other age structures that we've got to have. It does take money. It does take priority. You want a ditch or you want a police officer?
When it comes to city services, they have to be done within the city's budget. Someone asked Bill Gates, why is Microsoft so successful? And he says, well, if I didn't learn anything else at Harvard University, I did learn that income minus expenses equals a profit or a loss. And if it's a loss, how long can you endure that loss before you go out of business? And he says he applies it with everything he does at Microsoft. And we have to do the same thing here with the city of Montgomery. But, you know, before the city goes out of business or have to file bankruptcy and so on and so forth, I would like to see the city pay off its debt. And, you know, short of raising taxes, I'm not sure what all the city can do to increase its budget other than try to improve its education system and try to create a quality of life in an environment where businesses would want to locate here, small and big businesses, and bring more jobs to the city, good quality jobs, and pay a livable wage. But then I also feel that, you know, we should do everything that we can to support the minority business development center on Court Street, and the small business development center at Alabama State University. Because I do feel that there are some people that, I always say if you're employed, you have a job. If you don't have a job, you're unemployed. If you work for yourself, you're self-employed. I do feel that self-employment is always an option. And so we need to do what we can to help to make it possible for people who have their own business here in the city to be more successful with it. When it comes to some of the infrastructure issues, though, I know when I moved here from Prattville, I had to switch phone companies, I had to switch cable companies, because the neighborhood that I moved in was only wired for Charter cable. And while it's not wired over there, the neighborhood that I live in, we can get some of the satellite providers, but we're not allowed to put them in that apartment complex. So those are concerns for people living in my neighborhood.
Well, I tell you, we've had lots of discussion about lots of things here. Our credit rating for the city, our bonded indebtedness for the city, and we've talked about all of those good things. But I told you, I plan to be